sometimes. Yeah, we have other 80-story building getting erected just beside my building. So these are kind of environmental effects we get.
We are
Just
used to
enjoy till
hearing
we
that
can,
such a
and
noise.
yes, let's just enjoy till we can, and have fun about it, rather than keeping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's you can't do many such things. Me sometimes they normally get that what you say वो कुआं खोदने का मशीन है ना, वो रात को 1:30 बजे चालू करते हो.
Oh my God.
At least अभी वो तो नहीं हो रहा है. So I'm kind of lucky right now. That's
No,
how I
if
feel.
everybody watched this Kamal Hassan's Silent movie.
Yes. क्या नाम था मैं भी भूल गया.
Or something, I don't know what is that movie name. But
Right.
yeah, it is exactly like that movie, that without that daily noise, we can't sleep. My situation is like that.
Right. Means I think he records and play it in his 5-star restaurant, right? Something like that.
5-star suite also, he
Yeah.
records that and he plays that to fall
Yeah,
asleep.
I like that movie. The acting is really good. The overall, the storyline is good.
Yeah.
Hi Usha. Sorry. Hi Lina. Good evening. How are you? Lina is busy, I believe.
Hi,
Okay.
how are you?
Great. No problem. Let's go ahead. Yeah, just to share with you all, we're going to have a overall refresher because Swati, Lina, and if anybody else want to join us, what I'm planning to say, whatever day gaps we have, right? Let's say now I'm a bit confused between Indian and US days, but still the way we have is like Monday evening, Wednesday evening, and Friday evening. We'll have be a revision class in next week. Because I believe the new
Not
journey
on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. It is on Tuesday.
right. That's our normal gap. That's our US evening timings, 9 to 11. How do you feel about that? Will that help overall to get the BA on track? Means see, learning BA is another kind of challenge or hard task you have, because we have completed almost 3 weeks of training, right? So that way we have class alternate days, so it's not 3 weeks, like 1.5 weeks. So we are talking about something like how many classes, some 14 or 15 odd classes we did, 2 hours classes for BA. So you can revisit them, you can watch them on YouTube, and Devji have shared all the videos and everything. They're there on the YouTube, so you can view that thing. But just to overall reviewing it quickly, rather than at the same place, and getting the workshop done, whatever we did as a team. So that's why I'm going to have this class. So whoever wants to join, please feel free to join. And I think that will make Lina and Swati in pace with all the others. That's how I feel it. So whenever we end quality assurance and quality control, everybody will be on the same page. That's how I look at it. Means by the kind of mid-December, that's how I'm planning. So that at January end we are completely through and ready for all job interviews and all those kind of stuff. What do you feel about that? I want to understand from you how specifically Lina and Swati, because they joined later. How does that make how does that will help you? Could you please go ahead?
It is like I'm still confused. I did watch some of the recorded videos which they've sent me today, but I think it is like, I feel like it is learning the table without knowing what is 1, 2, 3. So I'm taking my time. I'm watching different videos and all.
Sure.
But I would definitely love to start the fresh batch whenever you're starting next week, because this way, I don't know my analogy is right or not, but I'm learning the table without knowing 1, 2, 3.
I can understand the dilemma, and believe me, BA is not a very difficult task. Only it's kind of high visibility. So those are the challenges we face, and it's not about what I'll say. It's about thought process and learning the linguistic of technology. That's all the BA is all about. So once you can implement your thought process or build the vision into the technicalities, that's what the BA is all about. And that's how we can relate the table framework to the thought process. But that's okay. Revising together is always a different advantage. And yes, we will do that. So don't worry on that.
Right,
so we'll
right.
get to that. Swati, what do you like to say?
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I'm already going with that all videos you sent
Right.
me, and yeah, I'm okay with that. The revision and the QA and assurance, the training.
Sure. Anybody else want to join us?
Yeah, maybe I will join a few classes.
Same here.
Maybe
I'll
I'm
also
too.
join.
I'm
Me
too.
too. I'll join on and off. Some
Sure.
in,
No problem. So, the alternate days means this class will continue at its own pace, and we'll have these additional days also. So for
Also-
next 2 weeks, I think we'll have, daily meetings.
Yeah, that's
So when
I don't know, like it's good or bad. Come in, please.
When we'll have our agile class? Like we have a training for agile also. No?
Mostly, if I'm not right, 1.5 weeks from now.
Half weeks. Okay, so we will be done QA by next week.
No. Agile Scrum. Okay, right. QA/QC. That's right.
Okay.
QA will be, doing mostly by 1st December or 2nd or 3rd December. That's how I put it.
Okay.
QA is not that big. QA/QC, these are small topics. These are basically kind of advisories to the BA. So these are kind of support structure for the BA. And as in BA, we need to understand how we can demand certain things, right? When you say, I can go to PM and ask him a SME in the iris scanner product side. So how can I do it? What are the framework? And what artifacts I can support to claim those things for me? That's what we are trying to learn right now. This is kind of understanding the IT environment, understanding overall how BA works and how BA works qualitatively, quantitatively. Those things we are trying to learn right now. And, that's why you feel a bit difficult, because this is what we are trying to understand the IT environment from a BA perspective, which is not part of the overall, the technicality of the IT. And that's where the overall, I think, confusions or dilemmas happening right now. And I can understand, I'm with you on that thing. Means
We'll not be doing testing. We'll be doing QA and QC. We'll not be doing any manual testing kind of thing here.
No, BA never does testing. Okay, whatever BA does testing at the level of user acceptance or business. Yeah. So that's testing can be labeled as user acceptance testing rather than anything. See, we need to understand the types of testing, because when you say testing, there are 6-7 types, right? Yes. And that's why we are doing QA/QC, because whenever you talk in terms of, as in BA to a stakeholder, right? And if you ask how we're going to make sure this will be perfect in terms of whatever we are requested. So that satisfaction thing, whenever anybody asks you, how are you going to make sure this product will be foolproof, like we'll be satisfied as a client, and there'll be no requirement creep. The answer to this question is similar. We have really great quality assurance and quality control. So what does quality assurance confirms? Whatever policies and processes in place in an organization to make sure the requirements are captured perfectly, concisely, and translated to technology implementation solid enough so that there will be no creep. There will be no deviation from the request or deviation from the requirement which is understood by BA. This means that whatever client have said to you, and you prepared in the SRS and then moved to FRS and all those things, whatever came to you as in BRD, you have elicited it to SRS. Then the project team have been evolved those requirements to FRS, functional requirement specification document. Those are correctly traceable from a first talk or first discussion to the last deployment, and there is no creep or deviation. When I say I need a fan, the BA should ask ceiling fan or table fan. That's how the BA functionality is. Now, whenever say I want to have a ceiling fan, then the development team will create a ceiling fan. But unless the BA confirms which fan the client wants, you can't really understand, because development team don't talk to client directly. Are you trying to understand the bottleneck where we where as an BA we operate on? And that's why we need to have all the arms and animation in place, which will support us to go through this bottlenecks, or to clear these bottlenecks. That's how it works. And that's why we need all the support we can get from the organization. And how do you get it? You get it from quality control, quality assurance, and Agile Scrum, from all these things, right? That's how we gather these things. So understanding this does play a very important part of the overall BA's life cycle, or BA's day-to-day duties, and that's why we are learning this, so that you can go and demand certain, I'll not say right, but you can leverage the organizational support structure created for you. And that's how a matured organization normally works. And that's why we are trying to learn this difficult part. I know these are difficult because the words are pretty heavy, pretty technical. Yeah, so bear with me, right? So I'll not play that video because, I again make that video, I've shown to my wife. She's, she's a educationalist. She's PhD in physics. She's heading couple of, division in her, junior college and all. So she's kind of academic head and all. So I watch her. She's not from IT background. So she suggested me quite a few things here. She said, no, it's too technical. So, I'll not make you watch that video. But if you watch, you can ask if you have any questions, and, we can learn from that. But it's like, yeah, heavy dosage of technicality. That's what I want to remove from this QA QC, training capsules. Okay, anybody want to ask any question on that video, if at all you have seen?
Not related to this, but I just want to tell you I finished my project and I'm ready to show it.
Wow, let's rock. Do you want to go ahead first?
It's up to you. We can go after the class also because we are in the flow right now.
Okay, no problem. Means whatever suits you. Anybody else have a question on quality assurance we learned till date, or any confusions? Okay, so there's an assurance part of it and there is a control part of it. Assurance is proactive, control is reactive. So assurance, I'll make sure. So I'll create some template. I'll create some process which will make sure the requirement, whatever captures, are translated to the documents perfectly. There's no leakage, there's no creep and all those things, right? So that's what assurance is about. Now control is all about whatever documents I've created, I need to make sure whatever I'm creating, whatever I'm manufacturing, whatever I'm devolving is in line with the requirement. And that's what the control is about. So what is testing? Testing is making sure the development matches to the document. Document is a checklist. Development is my result. If I'm creating pen, if I'm creating fan, I should be, really okay with whatever the RPM, whatever the, voltage range. So supportability and everything does matter in testing. So proactive, reactive. I want to make sure the satisfaction is achieved 100%, right? And that's how I make sure it reaches to a 100% layer. Could you understand these statements? Anybody have any confusion in the, few statement I just spoke? Yeah, did I start recording? Yeah, I start recording. Anybody have any confusion? I believe we understood on a superficial level. Okay, does that make a right statement?
Yes.
Okay, great. So let's try to understand QA again quickly. So quality assurance focus on improving the processes needed to make the end product work, or the processes that ensure that acceptable quality can be produced. Let's go step by step. Let's try to understand acceptable quality. What is acceptable quality? When I say I need a fan, I have asked him, ceiling fan, table fan, exhaust fan, this fan, that fan. He said, oh, I need ceiling fan because that suits my requirement. Okay, I noted that down. So this is kind of, elicitation of requirement. So I'm evolving requirement to a level where my development team can create that end product, right? So this is how I'm doing. What is acceptable quality? A ceiling fan, which gives me a comfortable, airflow. As simple as that. So when I'm talked about fans, right? There are RPMs, there's a, voltage or the power supportability, because if you stay in US, there's a different power. If you stay in India, there's different power. If you move to any other country, there can be different power, right? So all these things I need to consider. These are environmental factors which are need to be considered by BA before creating that business support environment for the client, whatever he asked for. Is it understood?
Yes.
Could we relate ourselves to fan? We've seen many fans, right? Well, you are in cold right now, so fan is not the right analogy. Let's bear with me for that matter. You might be running on heaters and all, right?
Yes, we do have fans also.
No, you have fan, but
No,
I
right
can
now we
understand.
don't have fan, but we do have fans. She's right.
No, I was in US. Yeah, I was in Stamford, Connecticut. I was in St. Louis for 3.5 years. So I know overall thing. And, as a Mumbaiker manufactured, I have to have that fan thing because, that sound, as you directly put out, sound is a requirement rather than the air. So I used to have a fan on a low thing. You have that swing fans, right? From RCA, I believe. Yeah. One of the plastic fans which used to make noise so that I can sleep peacefully. Otherwise, we used to have rabbits. We used to have all those, herons and all those things running in the background sometimes. So that's really, what I can say, a great experience there. Yes, but yeah, I can understand. We have fans. So, the analogy, right? Could you understand how the quality assurance does play a part in a BA's life?
Yes.
Can anybody want to explain to me what he or she understood? Anybody want to go ahead? Usha ma'am?
What I understood is like QA part comes after we are done with our BA part, just to make sure like whatever product or services we are providing, that the quality of that product or services is up to the mark and it don't have any flaws and it don't have any problems once the product or services go in the production.
Right. Only the flaw in this statement is like after BA part. BA's life never gets over because you are working for a client, right, within a given organizations.
Yes.
So it's like you are in advisory capacity. Even if you're not playing active part in the sense, ye karo, aisa nahi hai, but still in the advisory capacity, I believe this might be a greater way to approach the problem. Or try Sony scanner than Philips scanner. Try purchasing some other scanners available like LG scanner or whatever it may be available in the market. If they can build a median between Sony and whatever the scanners we were procuring. So we are trying to help the development team to reach the goal or to create the best possible quality achieved as an development partner, right? Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes sense.
Great. So anybody else, Rupanjali ma'am, do you want to go ahead and try to put in your words what do you understand from quality assurance?
Actually, I have some background noises. If you see, I told you I'm in India. It's okay if I'll talk and I will unmute.
Okay, no problem. Anybody else want to go? Lina ma'am, do you want to go ahead? Whatever you understood from quality ma'am, quality assurance.
No, I'm fine. I understood it. I think it's like any other project, maybe it IT or anything. Quality is the integral part of it, right? So quality
Perfect.
makes sure that the product is on line with your objective and you do deliver the right product. Flawless, I would say flawless delivery. So quality assurance does that. So yeah, I think that's what I understood.
That's right. So that's overall quality for us for as in BA, right? Yeah, we don't play exactly active part, but in the advisory capacity. But that's also kind of important whenever we were trying to help all the other teams to reach their goal as well as we reach our goal. So it's like kind of teamwork, and that's how the overall environmental parts of the BA comes into play. So quality assurance is a proactive thing. So whatever you do to get the quality before creation of a product is assurance. After creation of a product or during creation of a product is control. So it's like we talked about, right? So whenever the cold comes, I'll start making ginger tea. I start taking cold medicine before the fever hits me, or before the fever actually gets to peak. After the fever gets to peak, well, there's a reactive measures. So I need to really make sure I measure my temperature, I go to doctor and all those things. The preventive care is good, is easier, is economical than the reactive care, right? So prevention is always better than cure. And that's the most qualitative thing within quality QMS. We are going to learn, we're going to understand how it works for a software development company, how it works for a BA. That's the main agenda here. So quality assurance attempts to prevent defects before they occurs in the first place. So this is most economical, philosophically correct, and the normal temperament whenever a BA BA's role in QA or QC or overall QMS, quality management services. QA and QC part of quality management services. What are the quality management services? These are the policies and processes made by organizations to make sure assurance sits in place, assurance is in place before the thing starts, and if anything goes in, then we have quality control as well to tackle it, to address it, so that whatever product or project or services we as a company creates goes to clients with the complete satisfaction guarantee.
No, but what I don't understand it, most of the big companies, won't they have their own quality department, like quality assurance?
Quality management services. Yeah. QMS is what the department is labeled to. Yes, please go ahead.
Right. So this is for us is just to touch base and make sure, just making sure that everything is in place.
That's right. Let me put it in other words. Whenever we were trying to learn how BA works, there are certain times whenever I go to work as an BA, and I go to a client where I don't understand quite a few things, right? So what I do, I go to PM and say, PM boss, do we have anybody in our company who can help me in understanding, let's say, iris scanner? Because that's what the product, we discussed, right? We are going to support to State Farm as a company. So the PM will say, okay, let me have a look at my center of excellence team, or, subject matters expert team. If I can get anybody attached or associated with you for next couple of weeks, wherever you try to work on SRS, so that you'll take his or her input from a COE or SME, so that you understand the iris scanners, their different advantages, disadvantages, cost factor, model factor, company factor, and so on and so forth. So for these, you need to understand I can demand certain things, and this is a kind of what you can say demand you can put with this type of auditory facts, saying, okay, I need to have SME for iris scanner, and as an BA I need to understand these iris scanners, so please provide me a resource, or please support me with this. And that's how the whole thing works for an organization, because as an organization I need to make sure whatever product I am creating, it's completely thought of, completely researched and analyzed. If me myself start researching on iris scanner, it might take months, if not years together, right? I'm just talking about sample. So to leverage certain organization factors or resources, because whenever you leverage a resource, there's a cost attached to it. So how do you justify these costs? The justification is via these environmental support which we get as an BA for an organizations. And you can demand, it's not an what I can say, koi upkar nahi kar raha hai. This is a part of overall things the way we do. So ye jo environmental support hai na, we need to understand it from a perspective where we can go and ask, right? So these are the things which are going to help. And of course, the end goal, the end result, what we are looking for, satisfied product. That's the baseline. That's the basic thing which we are looking for. And whatever it comes, whatever it requires as an organizational support, that's how we're going to get it from the overall environment. Does that answer your confusion?
Yeah. Yes.
Great. So that's how we are going to do it. So quality assurance attempts to prevent defects before they occur in place. So whatever I feel as I'm going to, add to the defects, or if I don't know anything in terms of whatever product I'm supporting, or I'm, eliciting the requirements of, or the environmental, thought process, because every person have some, good quality and some shortcomings, right? Because we couldn't learn everything in the world. So how do you work it? Then whoever knows the things which I haven't learned, I'll get his knowledge acquainted with mine, and create a better documentation, create a better analogy as far as designing or architecting a solution goes. Okay, so that's how we as an BA go. That's how we as an BA work in a given organization. Okay, it is the responsibility of everyone on the team to involve in a project, product, or service development. So we work an organization. Infosys works as an organization while helping the State Farm to set their business goals in line. Does that make sense? We, Infosys, as a development partner, helping State Farm as our client to make their business goals set in place. or get those solutions working for them. Do you understand this statement? Could we understand this statement?
Yeah.
Great. Sure. And if you don't, please say so that I can explain it in detail, and they can we can have more discussion on that. Okay, let's go ahead. Okay, the main tool of quality assurance is called quality audits. We do certain audits. So what are these audits do? Audit is basically a kind of checklist filled before putting the things in place. Let me tell you, we've been traveling on flight, right? Means we travel in airplanes. So whenever we board the aircraft, there are certain checklists a pilot fills in. Whenever he walks to the plane, he'll say, okay, door working, tick. He starts the plane with a button. There's no key to it, but yeah, he starts with the plane with a button, and he says, okay, the engine started. The RPM is okay, because there has to be an RPM requirement. There has to be some certain requirement of air pressure within the tube of airplane. So those kind of things he need to check. He have around, I think, 300 odd checklist or checks to be made before he actually puts the shakes the plane to move to the runway. This is like starting a car. I have a checklist, right? Whenever I want to start a car, I'll check the fuel is enough to wherever I want to go. I want to check the air pressure in the tire are correct. I want to check if I know the car how to drive safely, the left and right part of it while I'm driving. Can I control the car? I'll check the brake. Even I don't do it purposely, my brain does it for me, because that's my practice, that's my habit. I check the brake before I'm releasing the parking brake, because that's how we work. That's how we work. We want to make sure whatever we do is a kind of fail safe before we start the things. So these are what they call quality audits. So these are what we call checklist or test cases in a IT world. So what are the test cases? Test cases are basically checks based on the functionality requirement. So whatever we key in as a requirement, there are relative test case or test cases. So a requirement can have multiple test cases, can have multiple checks and balances whenever you put it in a document. So these requirements get translated to test cases, so that whenever we start to check the product start to create the product, we'll make sure these are the needs I need to fulfill whenever I create that product, project or service. Does that make sense? Could we understand this? Could we understand the analogy of assurance?
Yes, absolutely.
Great. If there are any questions, please feel free to ask. Okay, this is the basic thing, and this is how we'll put it, right? Now let's try to understand the next step, quality control. Now we have started creating certain things. We have started creating, let's say, ceiling fan for that matters. So how QC, whenever you started creating ceiling fan, I'll first ask, ceiling means that fan has to be attached to the ceiling, right? So there should be some hosting. So I'll make a list of things which I need to do to build a working ceiling fan, right? So what are these things? These are basically came from the test cases we've created in QA. So we know the functionality. We know the things this product, project or services needs to do. These are the test cases. I have the complete SRS and the functional requirement specification with me, so that I can create a product. Now I know what to be done and how to be done, because I have this environment with me, right? As a developer, I know the .NET, I know the Java, I know the Python, and all those kind of different platforms I work on. Or I have the lathe machine, I have the smoothing machine, I have the module, there are different machines required to create a product. So those kind of robotic line or whatever, and then I create the product. So I have the requirements, I have the ways and means. Now I can create a product. So while creating a product, there shouldn't be any pitfalls, any damages, right? Because I should have a clear execution of creation of product. So I'll try to remove all the obstacles of creating a good product. So quality control basically makes sure you will keep testing, you'll keep checking the quality throughout the creation as well. This is what the QC is all about. So this is basically reactive in process as well as after process completes, you keep it checking before giving it to the client, so that whenever you have a shortcoming, whenever you can basically create more satisfaction for a client, that's how you build better and better product day by day. That's how we keep improving, and that's what the overall control and implementation works, right? Whenever I say, let me put it in an example. Whenever I made my first tea, it was might be raw, because I don't know the overall ratio of water to tea powder to ginger to whatever things I put in a creating a tea. So when I made it second time, it's much better. Third time, it was really good. Means it was fine to drink, right? So I can get it mastered whenever I create or whenever I make these things couple of times. That's how things work. So I'll leverage the seniors within my organizations who have made such thing, made such solution, and we work in a hierarchical fashion for the quality control. So as a BA in advisory control, I support the quality control as well. So I work with the project manager, the test manager, and the testers part of the fraternity to understand if they have any confusion in the requirement, so that whatever we are checking is in line with the requirement, is in line with the thought process of a client. That's how the role of a BA plays in quality control, right? Let's try to. So in QC, we try to find defects to ensure that the discovered defects can be fixed before delivery, right? It is a responsibility of a specific team called testing team. Sorry, it is a responsibility of a specific team to ensure the product for defects. QC deals with the checking of a product, project, or process outcome, right? So we do it frequently, we do it quite often, so that we have to understand the earlier we fix the defect, the more economical or the more cost effective it for the product outcome as well, right? Let's not go to the ROI part of it, but try to understand, the more we help a QC, the effective product will be, the qualitative product will be. And that's how we help the overall QA/QC team to understand how to have the effective quality control. With the effective quality assurance, there should be no discovered failures. During the quality control, the process through might seem ideal. So this is theoretically we are talking, but we can achieve this practically up to a great depth. Believe me, we have done it in specifically IT environment, and that's why we can create a really great product. And that's how we have really good computerized system, computerized product, just because the QA/QC works effectively. The QMS implemented to a great maturity level in IT fraternity, and that's how we work. That's why we can support all the other domains, including healthcare, aeronautics, satellite functioning, and all those things, right? That's why we have IT fraternity supporting the whole ball game of domains, because we take QA/QC very seriously, right? I'm talking as an IT person now, and that's how we need to learn those linguistics. We need to learn to talk like that, and that's why this QA/QC as an BA, as an advisory capacity, we need to understand, and we need to be a part of the whole team, or lead them to a better satisfaction, to a better qualitative product to be achieved. Does that make sense? Any confusion here?
No, we're okay.
Okay, great, no problem. Sure. Let's move ahead. Now, again, there are some difficult words we are going to learn today. One of them is SDLC. Whenever you talk to a software guy, he'll talk about this SDLC. Anybody heard SDLC word before?
Yeah.
Yes, almost every day.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're working with software, software or IT person. What is this SDLC? It's called Software Development Life Cycle. Okay, this is a part of QMS, because in in IT industry, we have certain fixed step labeled to create a software solution, right? And this is predominantly for used in IT fraternity, because they believe that everybody knows this thing. Normally it doesn't, but yes, we, even including me, we believe that everybody, even a teacher, knows about SDLC. No, that's not the fact. But yes, That's how we believe it. So we need to understand certain terminology here. So these are the basically steps to create a software solution. Okay, a project, product, or service. Solution is kind of whatever you're giving it to the client. It can be something like Irish scanner with the supporting software request, with the supporting servers need to be in place, with the cables, with the network networking Wi-Fi or cable networking or to the telephone lines and all those things. So whatever requirement of a solution is will go through this what we call software development life cycle. And as we talked about, as an BA, I worked in a part of the life cycle called requirement life cycle, or gathering the requirements. So what BA does, we gather the requirement, we evolve the requirement, we elicit the requirement. So I normally work in a part called requirement gathering life cycle phase. Then there's a life cycle phase of designing the software, and then there's a life cycle phase of creating a life cycle, right? Creating the solution. So there's a requirement gathering of a solution, there's a designing or architecting of a solution, there's a development of a solution, and there's a deployment of solution. So I take the solution and give it to the state farm, or install the Iris scanner, the computers, the cables, and the networks at state farm, so that we can make the software working for them, because that was their requirement, and then we get paid as a software company. This is how the whole thing works. Now, there are certain standardized quality frameworks available, right? I don't know how ISO came here, but yeah. So we need to understand what are these frameworks and how they basically help to make the SDLC, this shouldn't be here, but okay, no. So we need to understand the software development process so that we can make the life easier, as well as understanding how the software development works. This is really quick, quick run through, and we are going to understand why we need to learn Agile and the Scrum. So that part we'll understand today, right? So there are certain models of the software development lifecycle which is followed. There are certain disciplines which we follow to execute this life cycle. For a BA, you are still in an advisory capacity, so nothing changed, for your roles and responsibility. But we are trying to understand the environment the software solution get created and get implemented, get deployed, get supported, and so on and so forth, right? So there are different models or frameworks have been evolved or defined, designed, implemented in IT fraternity. Some of them are something called waterfall, iterative model, spiral model, V model, Big Bang model, Agile, Scrum, XP, Pair, then rational unified processes, rapid action development, and prototyping. These are really big words. It doesn't make a sense when you looking from a layman's perspective. But as an BA, we have to understand a bit of difference in between these, so that if somebody ask you, so how does SDLC works? So you might could explain them software development lifecycle, and we have many frameworks and the models which are evolved over the time. So these are all evolved over the time. Waterfall was the most oldest one. Iterative started in 90s or at the end of the last century. Then there are spiral model, V model, and many. Agile also started in the 2000 or 94, 95, and it really built a good framework. Agile Scrum is the most popular framework which we use as of today as well. And companies like Infosys, Patni, Accenture, and all these top IT consulting company use Agile Scrum as a default framework nowadays. So we need to understand how Agile framework works, how you as an BA in the advisory capacity can assist or can support the quality control and quality assurance executions throughout the project life cycle, or throughout the project creation, throughout the project understanding, throughout the project deployment. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Or I'm going haywire?
No, you're good.
You understand, right? Why we are learning these things?
Yes.
Rather than learning, I'll say understanding, or have a bird's eye view. That'll be a right statement, because we're not going to learn these. See, you normally work for just one phase of the software development life cycle. Yes. Okay. These are called phases. Requirement gathering is a phase. Architecting or designing the software is another phase. Development or construction is another phase. Deployment is another phase. Support, warranty, and those things are also another phases. So these are called phases of life software, SDLCs. And these are the framework. What framework does? Framework supports these phases with different document template, with different disciplines, how effectively, how qualitatively we can do, and they have their own pros and cons. So there's not one best and one worst. These are evolved, and so these are basically get tuned according to the solution requirement, right? So let's try to understand at a superficial layer. These are the frameworks, these are the models have been created by many scientists and many research bodies to help software solutions make more qualitative, more satisfactory, or more with the least possible efforts, or economical. That's how it works. Okay, so all these environmental factors play a great deal in creating a software solution and giving it to the client. So we're going to understand how these different SDLC work, and we're going to have quickly understand how they differ. There's no test on this, there's no workshop on this, but this is a need for a BA to understand when somebody says, "Arey yaar, wo SDLC nahi chal raha tha. I believe Agile is not the right fit for this solution. Let's try, waterfall. Let's try rational RUP." So we should understand what this guy is talking about. This is like doctor talking about, those really bad words, and we couldn't understand if it's a disease or it's a medicine. Does that happen with you?
Yes.
So this is like that. So we should have a clue when he's talking about SDLC, when he talk about framework, what he's talking about, where this whole thing fits in. So that's what we're trying to understand. So there's no workshop, there's no checks on this, but as an IT fraternity, we should understand. And that's why, okay, one other thing. We have a introduction session on Python, machine learning, and what, man, I forgot that, and data scientist. That's at I think 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. So if you could join, I think we'll have those links shared on our group. So if you can join, you'll understand all these, how we as in software solutions get built up. I'm going to do the introduction session. It's free for all, just to understand how software solutioning is done. And machine learning, data scientists, these are the latest IT trends. So let's try to understand. If you have a time, please do join me. Means I will be delighted to have you as an ask questions, and we can share those thoughts as well. But yes, that will not a training session. That's a kind of introduction to the training which we're going to start in I believe next month end or so. And I would really love to have you there and try to understand what the hell the Python is, what the hell the machine learning is, and what we do about the data scientist of the team. Okay. A data scientist is kind of natural evolution for a business analyst. Business analyst is a kind of you analyze things, and data scientists you normally apply the data statistically, probability. You have major patterns evolution, trend analysis, trend building, and those kind of stuff. So it's a kind of next evolution. If you really like the BA fraternity, the way BA work, data scientist is the next career step, natural progression, if you ask me, without changing your domain of working. You can be a PM, you can be CEO, CTO, but instead of going there, if you want to keep on the same track, how to become to the next level. So data scientist is the evolution of an analyst, and I'm going to explain it how and why in that introduction session as well. This is just to share with you how we are evolving in terms of trainings, evolving in terms of growth of the normal person. Okay, so let's try to understand a couple of these SDLC. This is what we call waterfall model. Now, how does waterfall work? This is the grand old daddy of all models. This is how we started. So we'll first gather the requirement. We'll then design the system. Okay, another thing, iterative model or the other models are overlapping model. This is a segregated model. So what is segregated model do is you can't start design before have all the requirement in phase. So I'll go to client and say, okay, Mr. VP HR, tell me what you need. He said, okay, I need to enhance my attendance management system. He said, okay. So these are the 8 requirements. Please take it. So BA note it down, and BA comes to his place, right? And he start working on the SRS. you have created SRS of 15 pages, and this is what the end of analysis. So business analysis SRS creation is the end of requirement phase. So we have analyzed the requirement, we have evolved the requirement, and then I take this document and go to the architect or the PM of the world and tell, boss, this is your system designing, start working on it. Now I given these documents to my PM or the architect or all the people on Monday, and then on Wednesday the VP HR from State Farm calls me again. Hey boss, could we have body scanner also included in this attendance system? You said, stop, I'm working a waterfall model, so you can't update the requirement because that phase has over. There's no overlap. Now we are almost in a implementation or a construction or a development phase. Pardon me. So this is how the waterfall works. There are a clear distinction between phases. You don't normally overlap these phases. So once you actually deploy the solution to them, then I'll be ready to create, take another requirement, take another suggestion to the requirement from the client. This is how we used to work in good old days. This is prior to in last century. Last century means 2029. And those years we actually used to work in this, because unless and until you frozen the requirement, you can't go on construction or you can't go on testing and deployment phase. That's how we used to work. But nowadays, no, you need to be pro client, and the client also understand when I change something, the other has to go, or there has to be some changes in the solution, and that's how we work today. But yeah, the main disadvantage of waterfall is there are no overlapping steps. Just try to understand me, even and even if you can't, there's no difference on a ground. But so if somebody explains you waterfall, this is really grand old daddy, the way we used to work in last century, and these are the clearly distinctive phase. There are no iterations, there are no overlaps between phases, as simple as that. So once you've done requirement analysis, the BA's duty are in just advisory capacity, because you don't change anything till you deploy, till you give it to the client, and then you ask him, okay, how can I make it better? And then you start the cycle again, right? This is a waterfall. Any questions on over here?
Yeah, so waterfall, we can say that there is no going back. If one like requirement analysis done and we are on system designing and we want to make changes on requirement analysis, we cannot do it till the whole process completes.
Exactly. Perfect. You put in the perfect words. Anybody else?
I just read this about last week.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's great. So it's good to have, means I'm a techie person, I'm an IT person. So I tend to explain in those heavy words so I can understand. So if somebody like you helping me, it's really big relief, believe me. Okay, let's go to the next model. This is what we call iterative model. Now, what happened? There are many clients who are creeping. कि क्या यार, मैंने रिक्वायरमेंट दे दी और तुमने दरवाजा बंद कर दिया. मेरे को उसमें पिंक कलर भी चाहिए था थोड़ा, वो मेरा वाला पिंक. But you got all whites, and for me now, which really doesn't fit my to me, because मेरा वाला pink चाहिए. So how to adopt such thing, how to evolve such thing? There are certain requirements which are not extensively damaging or which are not extensively contradicting with the business idea, and that's how business work, right? So what I do, I normally create separate development environment to build this product, and I'll try to analyze, I try to understand. Whenever I create something, there could be some suggestions, there could be some modifications, and along the way I can build some iterative things. I can build certain things iteratively. So what I do, I normally break these SDLC in a smaller part, and I create things iteratively. So I'll create certain things in September, I create certain things in October, I will create something in November. So whatever clients suggest in between, I'll say, okay, wait, I'll have this thing going in the next iteration cycle. And so rather than waiting till the end of the product, I'll say wait for a couple of days and I'll take your request. Okay, so there's a kind of independence of phases here as well, but they are getting more overlapped, because there are one design and development can go when the others is in implementation phase. Could you understand? Means let's say if I'm creating a solution like enhancing that HR thing. So whenever I was trying to test or do R&D on Iris Scanner, If the client comes and tell me कि boss ये full body scanner भी चिपका सकते क्या अपन? Could we include the full body scanner in the solution as well? I say, okay, that's the right time you asked me. Let me go to my SME or COE and ask him, do I have any full body scanner wala SME or COE? Then after this meeting, I'll sit with him and try to understand if we can also include that thing. Of course, client is going to pay for it. So that's a normal thing. Even that solution is getting bigger, right? My overall profit margins are getting bigger, and that's how I get the business adaptability as well. Okay, could we understand this? How the overall ROI, how the profitability has increased with the SDLC? Any confusion at this moment?
So this is like a testing kind of thing. Trials. Implement, and then.
I couldn't hear you, and I couldn't understand your question. Could you please repeat it for me?
Yes. So these are like trials, right? Build 1 would be trial 1. Build 2 would be trial 2.
Right. Yeah. There'll be more testing, and there is cycles of iterations of testing. That's right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I got your point. So there's just one testing here, and there are many testings here. There is just one design, or there's one requirement. There are many requirement cycles. So requirement is all going on for build 1, build 2, build 3, and these are getting executed in parallel. That's how the whole scenario looks like. Yeah, you're right in that part. Okay. Now let's go to a bit confusing thing. This is not really worked out for many IT person. This is really short lived what you can say model. This is called spiral model. Okay, so what does spiral model do? You collect the requirement, you design, then whenever you deploy the SRS, you again go to the client and ask, hey client, have any additional requirements, or have you thought on this, how we can change it, how we can make better? Then he'll give it to you. So there's a kind of iteration by iteration on each and every what you can say level, and we build a kind of spiral of overall execution. So we'll start with overall understanding, building, again understanding, again building, and this basically goes on till the end, and there's no specific schedule as such attached to it. So these are like continuous process running in parallel. That's how the whole thing looks like. This bit complicated, and there are many disadvantages, because then I couldn't really deploy SRS, and they start creating FRS, because all these documents are keep getting changed, and there is lots of confusion and chaos in the whole stuff. So overall, the cumulative costing and the overall evaluative costing was quite high. So we've scrapped this model as far as IT fraternity goes. Now let's try to understand rational unified process. We've learned that UML thing, right? Unified modeling languages. These are the guys who created the company name was OMG, Object Method and Group. So there were two partners who started these companies in 1960s. They come up with a unified processes, unified models, and unified architectures. They've really mastered the unified modeling, UML. So that's a kind of architectural representation. They have also mastered the overall process maturity. So this is what the RUP process is all about, Rational Unified Process. Now Rational or that company has been procured by IBM. So RUP and UMLs are a part of IBM, technology stacks, or the technology solutions which IBM provides to the world, right? So RUP, let's try to understand RUP. Now there we used to call the phases is requirement gathering, development, construction, right? In here we call it inception phase. Inception is requirement gathering, elaboration is designing, development is construction, deployment or giving the solution, handing over the solution is called transitions. See, these are different labels given by different fraternities, different group of people, and we should understand as an learning English, right? So let's not get baffled by the labels. Let's not get baffled by these words, but let's try to relate it to whatever you feel good at heart, or you feel which you can relate to the phase and can understand the phase well. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, now let's go ahead. Now what is let's try to understand how many resources do I need, how much cost do I have incurred, and how the hub or how volume of activities will be higher in which phase, by which resources, or by which type of economical spending. Let's try to understand from that angle. So whenever I say model, I'm trying to build a model of a solution, right? So I am started building the solution model since inception. In elaboration, I really have a great clarification, and I say that my model is matured enough to start construction. So I allocate maximum resources to the elaboration phase, to the inception phase, which are really great in understanding, which are really great in analysis. That's what we as an BA. Then in construction, I have the resources which are really good at creating, really good at construction, really good at development. So these are development resources. Then this testing. See, my testing starts whenever my elaboration is at peak. So I start acting proactively as well as reactively. I have these test cycles, and that's how the overall graph of a resource usage show. Let's not go into the depth, but let's try to understand how the overall allocation of resource, allocation of cost happens in the overall SDLC. And that's how RUP was one of the most effective or efficient modeling processes still used, and agility built on top of RUP. Believe me, whatever I have just explained will relearn in Agile as well. Only we need to understand what you mean by iterative process, what do you mean by resource spend, what do you mean by resource calibration against the phases. Okay, these are the phases, right? Inception, elaboration, construction, transitions. And these are the different, what I can say, resources I'm attaching in these different phases, or functionalities I'm attaching with different phases. So those kind of scenario, right? So RUP is the first model framework where they start understanding these iterations. Now in RUP, the iterations are longer, much spanning in months altogether. Okay, in waterfall, the length of this cycle can go up to years altogether. So whenever I say I want to change my color of my t-shirts, you have to wait for till the project ends. Here, I might have to wait for 2 or 3 months to get my color change. Here, let's not think about this. This is quite complicated. Here, I'm talking about a month's wait time, right? Now I move to the next one. Okay, XP I'll come later. Let's try to go to the Agile. Okay, now Agile. Could you see the repetitions here? Okay, this is the most difficult. Okay, I'm sorry for this picture. This is, okay, I'm trying to talk to you on the Scrum overall. Okay, what we do in Agile, the iteration is on week basis. So almost they call it sprint. Could you hear sprint backlog here? So this sprint, this circle, the middle circle, where you construct the whole thing. So as a business analyst, where's the business analyst? Okay. Okay, business product owner is what we call the State Farm guys. And then these are the business team, these are the business analysis team, which collect the requirement from the business owner, which build kind of user story, PPs, business features, business requirements, and overall the SRS of the world. And then this team build the SRS and give it to the development team. These are the development team, these are the construction team, these are the creation team. And this sprint is what exactly a week's time, max weeks, or mostly can go up to 10 days. That's what the maximum duration we've achieved, we have thought of, we have modified or evolved to that framework. Okay, let's go back here. Here I was talking about the monthly. So there are certain advantages or disadvantages of RUP as well, which has been addressed in the Agile. So that's why we use Agile. Now there's something called XP practices. These are called Indian way of developing things. What we do, we keep modifying, we keep developing, we keep modifying. And that's how we do. And believe me, that's a label given because India has the most matured IT processes, believe me. And I'm proud to saying that even the Indians in US or other countries, they've excelled in the project methodologies, and we've improved. Our contribution is the greatest. believe me. And that's why Indians are preferred, because the way we think statistically, we think probability, we think about the ROI, the cost and cost, we think about the standards. That's our, in our blood, and that's how we improve our life. That's why this XP practices is basically one of the most used from good old days. Whenever we, whenever we used to do waterfall also in India, there were quite a few guys in BA. Have you heard of something like Jugaad, right? Jugaad is the right word.
Yeah.
So BA क्या करता है? Even ये चल रहा है. This is in execution. BA comes to this, implementation guy. बोलता है कि now, boss, he needs pink. We've talked about white, but could you just add a bit of red touch to it and get the pink thing so that he'll be happy and we'll be happy? And this is actually used to happen in India, because we normally adapt to the situation quite effectively, and we evolve it so nicely that even kagaj pe process theek hai, but actually you get it to the ping now. So whatever the client got is much more nearer to the solution, whatever he was thinking. So we were evolving. We were doing some small releases even in good old days, but we haven't labeled those practices, and there's no framework in place, right? Because we never thought in that, implementing the templatization or documentation. XP has the least documentation. XP is basically just adapting to the needs. That's what the XP talks about. And that's how we used to work, right? Fata silao, that's kind of scenario overall. That's how this framework is a kind of framework which is adaptive, list documentations, and quickly evolving. That's how I'll put it. Okay. We don't speak much about XP because that's what in our blood. That's how we used to do. So whenever we talk about XP, think about making tea, right? So how I evolve, I'll put my pan near my tap so that whenever I wake up, I'll collect the water with my eyes closed and put it on a gas and light it up. That's how I do it. Because मेरे को सुबह चाय चाहिए. Tea is the first thing which I starts with, right? Even before washing my teeth, most of the household, believe me, that's how often I put my tea on the gas, and then I go and wash my teeth. So whenever the tea gets boiled up, I'm ready to drink that tea with water, with cream, with ginger and whatnot. So that's how I evolve. I work parallelly. I do execution parallelly. I improve over time. I go near to the client. Does that make sense? Could you relate it to your life?
Yes, sir. Till now, I was thinking this is the rough work we do before doing the Agile Scrum,
Exactly.
but XP is really a framework.
Right. It's really a framework, believe me. But yeah, it's not defined well. And we don't brag about it like the way Agile does. You'll understand. Means it's Agile XP, it's a flavor of Agile as well. But we don't brag like Scrum, believe me.
Yeah,
But
we do it our day-to-day life also. We just keep on like, okay, we'll start a
adapting.
thing. It's not good. Okay, let's make some changes. Let's start it. We keep on revolving around the things.
Yeah, think of a dinner, the way we make
Yes.
dinner, right? नहीं
Yes.
यार सुबह का दूधी का सब्जी ठीक नहीं था. So let's try to make something with aloo, batata, whatever it may be. And that's how we adapt. And that's why we can't eat those canned food. Believe me, when I was in US, I was really
Same here. We cannot eat the frozen and the canned food.
exactly.
We need to cook 3 times a day.
हाँ, exactly. और सुबह का दाल शाम को नहीं चलता, सुबह का सब्जी शाम को नहीं चलता. That's the way we build up.
When you were
And that,
talking about this XP, I thought like this is kind of the rough work we'll do in the backend type, and then we'll make the Scrum. But when
believe me,
but
yeah,
when
you're
I
very
just
right.
now
You are on
Googled
dot.
it, and it is a real framework. People use it in the companies.
Exactly, it's used.
Yeah.
So it's a fun basically, and that's how that's why we are the best at software, and that's how Devji explained, like on top of if you really compare Indians, women are most adaptive, and that's how they make their life easier, and that's how we learn from our childhood, right? To adapt to the situation, get the bloody problems out. Don't think about problems, think about solution, get it working. So pink है ना, so कोई तो भी analyst दौड़ के जाएगा developer team के पास. So think about the environment, the way we work. A business analyst running with a paper or running with a printout or an email to a development team कि बॉस केशव इसमें थोड़ा लाल कलर डाल दे, वो व्हाइट या पिंक हो जाएगा, उसको पिंक चाहिए. तो कल जब भी उसको अपन डिलीवर करेंगे या परसों जब भी डिलीवर करेंगे तो उसका पिंक मिलेगा. So he'll be really happy, believe me. And then that guy writes a letter with the name of a BA on the top, saying, wow, this guy really helped me a lot. He saved me, millions of bucks here because, now things what we were looking for and how the business people are really happy. And that's how the BA get, overall appreciated. This happened even today also, believe me. Means Agile Scrum, I'm just giving you an example because we are going to be BA, right? And that's how, I'm coming to it. But think about as a developer as well. He or she gets in touch with client and asks clarification via BA and get it done, get it implemented. That's how we work. And the documentation goes for toss. Yes, that's the kind of disadvantages we are in. So, whenever I cook the best possible, let's say gajar ka halwa, I don't recall the recipe because I never written it down. That's how we do documentation. So that's a kind of, negative impact of the overall XP. We do with the least possible documentation. Does that make sense? Does that make fun?
Yes.
Anybody else want to explain their day-to-day life? Because we're all Indians, right? We know. Rudra, I want to understand from you. Yeah, let's try to understand from Rudra. Rudra, how do you feel about XP? Rudra, are you there?
XP, yeah. So XP is, I guess it's just the same thing. You constantly update it and you try to enhance it more and more, right? It's constantly improving.
Right, that's true. And with the least documentation, that's what we talked about. And that's the kind of lacuna we have. And that's a shortcoming of XP. That's right. Anybody else want to share their feeling? Means there's nothing wrong with other cultures. This is how we evolve. This is how, there are certain good parts, there are certain bad parts. And these are kind of, we are lining on the edge. And this is how we learn. This is how we evolve as an, Indian fraternity. And I specifically asked Rudra because I believe he, born and brought up in US. So he can understand these cultural differences clearly, much better sense than us. Believe me. Could you, Rudra?
Yeah.
So that's how these things. Okay. So let's see. And let's take it lightly. I'm just trying to make everybody understand how the XP works, how we evolve with the, progressive mind. Even as a human, that's how we evolve. And we are the best analyst. We are the best statistician as an Indian. That's in our blood. And that's what we do. We do analyze each and everything in such a depth that even people call us overthinkers. Believe me. Means if you, ask any American person, how do you evolve your coffee making process? He'll say, coffee making process, evolution. Man, these are two different tracks you're talking about. And believe me, that's how they think. And that's how their culture is, their upbringing is. Means most of the kids, if you ask their, 5th grader or 6th grader, they couldn't compare the water in the tap and water in the river. Believe me, I've tried these things. This is kind of one of the exercises which, we've devised at when I was, designing UML notifications with Grady Booch. These are the really great forefathers, which we developed UML notification to whenever I was in St. Louis. And, we had this kind of survey, you can say. I met quite a few, 5th graders, 6th graders, and tried to understand what do you think? The water in a tap and water in a river. We used to have a Missouri River in St. Louis. So, ask them, okay, what do you think? What's the similarity? They say, no, these are two different entities in the world. Water in the tap come from tank. Water in the river is just dirty water flowing, across the globe. So that's the dirty. And this is really great. That's how they believe. Yeah, there's a basically, improvement and, the... what you can say, remove the dirt from the water process goes in between, but still at the end of the day, that's the water we drink, right? And we in India, we know because our forefather used to get the water from river and, do all those natural things. We live naturally most of the time. And that's how the cultural difference is. There's no right or wrong over here, right? There's something like evolved much more and some things are not evolved at a greater level. And there are certain traits we inherit as an, kids inherit as an part of a culture overall. Okay. So please, there's nothing wrong in other cultures. There are really great things in other culture and there are some great things in us as well. So let's take it on a positive note. So pardon me if I'm, ever spoken bad for, there's no, what you can say, shortcomings at heart. Believe me. Okay, thanks. Let's go ahead. So we understood the XP. Now move to the continuous delivery, the Agile pair. Now, Agile pair is the most quality demanding framework in the world. Basically, NASA and all those guys, NASA, American military, American Army, American Navy SEALs, they use these agile pair methodologies, right? Now, what is agile pair? Wherever the quality is at topmost importance, you can't have a single creep, single proliferation, or single deviation from the requirement. There we use agile pair. Now, as the name suggests, we have two strands going parallelly. So there's a coding, there's a testing, and there's an integration going parallelly. And there are normally two resources sit on a single desktop. That's how it works. If you want to think on a logical, flavor, or a overall, the team based allocation and so on and so forth. Yes, agile pair is the most costlier type of development because you normally use two resources. Even psychology says you can't have 100% humans brains used whenever we work. We normally use our 60 to 85% whenever we are at our peak of efficiency executions in thoughts process. But agile pair, the way they tune the methodology to use the maximum qualitative restriction, maximum qualitative reinforcement in place whenever we use this methodology. Okay, so let's try to understand is one of the most costliest, one of the most inefficient but highly qualitative framework. Okay, is that clear, or do you want to learn more about these things? I do seminar on project management, so I can speak at a length, but we need to understand from a BA perspective. I want to restrict myself so that the differences on a superficial level, because you're going to assist the team. We are just a kind of we are part of almost 1/4 of a phase of an execution as in creation, as an advisory. I part of the whole SDLC, but in an advisory capacity. That's how I want to restrict the overall thought process or understanding of this framework. Does that make sense?
Yep. So for the continuous, this is agile pair, delivery and deployment. That's the pair.
Yes, this is also iterative. Yes, the iterations are not shown, but this is a single iteration which I have depicted here, where there are two resources working in parallel because they need to have a qualitative review of each and every step, each and every line of code, each and every robotic manufacturing thing. These are continuously delivered, iteratively delivered by two persons rather than one. That's why this is one of the most costliest framework. Does that clarifies your doubt, Rudra?
Yes.
Okay, great. No problem. Anybody else have any question? Now let's try to understand Agile Scrum. Let me grab a simpler image. This looks really complicated. Agile methodology image. Just give me a minute, please. Yes, I think this is much more better. Let me try to include here. This thing. It's really big. Okay, could you see the simplified images here?
Yeah, it's better, much better.
Yeah, I know. Pardon me for that. It's kind of, yeah, that's an error on my part. Okay, now let's try to understand Agile methodology. This is like iterative design. Yes. Agile methodology was the first methodology where we started using the iterative methodology effectively. We've started with XP as well, but XP is non-documented. So Agile is a kind of documented methodology where we say iterations are part of the overall development cycles. So there will be many cycles than just the one cycle. So whatever see SDLC, the SDLC keep repeating, right? So we plan, we design, we develop, we test, we deploy, we review, and we launch. And in planning means this is a requirement gathering. I keep doing requirement gathering throughout my life cycle. And that's how it works. It just goes on in circle, right? And same, just to evolve to a Scrum. Scrum is one of the flavor of Agile, where I try to create. Okay, this should be here basically, because yes, spiral path, no, that's XP. Okay, XP is a part of Agile. XP is a part of Agile. Pair is also part of Agile. Now Scrum is the most evolved part of Agile, evolved framework of Agile, where we have defined templates, where we have defined even disciplined the meetings, we have disciplined the release management process, we have disciplined the labels of the participants so that they have fixed set of responsibility, we have fixed set of templates, we have fixed set of labels given to the templates and the entities, so that it will be uniform throughout the world. And that's what the first really matured efforts have been taken. So Agile evolution was mostly after 2005, and we have evolved to a great level in 2010 end, so that by 2011-12 we have templateization in place, we have labels for the participants in place. Does that make sense? Does that that will answer your questions to why Agile Scrum? Okay, if anybody asks you in interview, because this is the most evolved framework, this is the most evolved methodology in place, where we have templatization. So template for each and everything, the roles and responsibility have been clearly defined. We also even given labels to each and every team members, so that their roles, their capacity is defined in a particular disciplined way. So whenever I talked about business analyst is basically closely work with product manager and the product manager to elicit the requirement. So as in the most important part here, we need to understand the user stories, this part. Could you see user story, epics, business features, business processes, architectural design, and closely work with the product owner. So business team users, business processes, this is the part which business analyst plays in. These are the development team. And again, these are the overall iterations we talked about. But BA is this part. So we work with business and IT program or project owner, build the analysis document. We create the user story, epics, and all those things. This we are going to learn what and how in the Agile Scrum capsule of us, because now it's really evolved. So each and every small thing we need to understand, we need to learn, and then we need to take an active part in overall SDLC of a current matured project management team. Does that make things easier for you to understand Agile Scrum? This is just an overview. This is just in comparison with the other methodology in place. Okay. Is any confusion at this moment? I think this is really irrelevant question, because I can see there are lots of confusion in understanding this SDLCs and why nots and these different labels. They make really nervous. But yes, just try to understand. As in BA, you are in advisory capacity. So if anything anybody asks which methodology we use, so we use Agile Scrum mostly, 99%, unless you go to NASA or go to some SpaceX type of organizations where they don't really care about the cost, but they care about the quality in much more way. So those kind of scenario, right? So this is what we do. This is what we will go through in terms of analysis when you going to start working on the actual shop floor, actual organization floor, right? Does that make sense? Does that give any idea about the SDLC and the project framework to you?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Only thing is, like, everything is connected. Okay.
Exactly.
What is
Right.
the
Very
role
right.
of a Scrum Master here? Because वो तो बिल्कुल ही अलग बैठा है.
नहीं. Okay. Sorry. Okay, alag nahi baitha. He is basically kind of okay. He is in a supervisory capacity. Okay, Scrum Master is okay. Product owner is straight from Scrum Master is a kind of product owner within the Infosys. So Scrum Master is a person who will basically guide me in case I have a smaller problem. Saying ki, so he's a kind of leader overall.
Oh, he is on top of product manager or program manager.
No, not top. Okay. Product owner or program manager are the guys who created this vision. These are the straight farm guys who thought of enhancing the attendance management system. Scrum Master is a guy who talks to product or program manager on daily basis. These are the visionaries, right? These are the CEOs and CTOs of the world, the product owners and business owners. So what I'm talking about, I want to have a simple person which is near and dear to me on my shop floor, so that who can clarify my doubts, right? See, we have a teacher.
He's a mediator between business analyst and a program manager.
Yes, that can be a right statement, unless certain time the
daily the Scrum meetings, he organizes the Scrum meetings.
Exactly. Okay, that's perfect. He leads the meeting. He is the master.
Okay.
Only only Agile depicts the product owners should be there at least once a week or in some periods, because if Scrum Master have any confusion, contradictions, he can go to product owner and have him sit in the meeting, so that BA, he or she can ask them also. These are the senior guys, so they don't have that much time, so they come at least once a week or once in 2 weeks, those kind of scenarios.
Okay, so Scrum Master is the representative of program manager or product owner.
That's right.
Okay. Now,
and Scrum Master is a kind of project manager, frankly speaking. Normally, project manager chairs the Scrum Mastering thing, but there could be a domain expert as well, a CME SOE who can be a Scrum Master. So there are variation.
Everything is interconnected. Only Scrum Master वो बेचारा अलग बैठा है. So I thought, let me ask what is this thing.
अलग नहीं बेटा, वो diagram representation है. इसको बीच में डालना चाहिए.
It's very easy to understand actually. It's not confusing. It's very easy, and I believe this is one of the best diagram to understand the process of business analyst.
Yes, that's very rightly said, and that's why I put this thing. But then today, I don't know why I feel it's really looking complicated. Because let's ask somebody who never worked in IT. Who never worked in IT?
Leena.
Me. I never worked in IT.
No, but quite a lots of labeling. Okay, no problem. Leena ma'am, let's start to understand.
For me, it was complicated, honestly, because till yesterday I didn't know who Scrum Master is, but then I was doing my reading and all. Then I know. Otherwise, I wouldn't know.
Right. And even today, I don't see we learned all about Scrum Master, because the process is clearly defined. Means उसने कौन सा पेन यूज करना है, sorry, उसने कौन सा कागज यूज करना है, यहाँ से लेके कौन सा पेन यूज करना है, ये भी defined है. Believe me. And Richa Sharma, he will basically guide us on Scrum and all those flavors and documentation templates. They call it artifact. So let me not get started on that. But still, things are clearly labeled, clearly disciplined, and that's why we say it's really most matured framework, and that's why it looks complicated here. But believe me, at the end of this training, you'll be explaining in much depth about each of every these backlogs, the user story. User story has kind of functionalities. Smaller functionality, epics are bigger functionalities. Okay, let me sorry, I'll basically restrict myself from explaining this thing to you. But believe me, this is one of the most matured frameworks, and you're going to learn in depth. Richa is a master. She's working as a Scrum Master for last 3 odd years. So she knows the evolution on ground. And that's why she's the right person to tell you these. And you can ask the nth level questions to her, and she'll be really delighted to share her knowledge with you. So believe me. So, let's try to understand from her. And if you have any confusion and contradiction with other areas, I can explain you in depth. And I'll be there, listening to you as well there. So don't feel, like, I'm going to leave or something like that. Okay. So I'll be there as well. So we'll understand the Scrum in details whenever, we do the Scrum and Agile. That's why we keep another, week we can have in just to learn this slide. You're going to learn this slide there. Okay. Pardon me for the confusion complications. Anybody else have any confusion complications? And please feel free to ask questions. Even in advisory capacity, the more you know, the more you understand, is more going to make your life easier while working as a BA. And we'll learn together. It's not the end of the day, today as well. So we'll learn and we'll grow together. So don't take it otherwise. Please, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Pavni ma'am, do you have any questions?
Can I ask you one more question?
Yeah, go ahead, please. Feel free.
Okay. It may be silly, but let me ask. Okay, so these circles you said is the production team. They are doing all the production thing.
This circle,
Yes.
the middle one,
Yes.
that depicts the iteration.
Alteration. Actually,
Yes.
I was not so comfortable with RUP, so let's not use those words. वो अभी तक मुझे अच्छे से समझ नहीं आया है.
Okay. Do you want me to explain again?
Up to you if everyone is okay.
Chalega. But what was the confusion here? Let's try to
Okay.
address that.
So, like this is the production team. They will produce, and like there are 3 people sitting with their laptops. So this is a testing team, or what is this? They are doing testing.
This one?
Or yes.
No. Okay. Okay. That's a good question. Okay. How do I put it?
Let's start from the beginning, from the business and program owner. So
Yes. So we can have in picture
Exactly.
perfect idea.
Right.
Overall, these are the advisors. How do I put it? Okay, BA can be one of these, but overall, these are the advisors which normally, kind of listener in a Scrum meeting. They are observers, but they normally peep in whenever they feel there's a contradiction, or what I can say, contradiction with the main business idea or the bird's eye view. That's how the whole setup has been done. So there are listener who normally challenges, who normally peeps in whenever there's a contradiction to the base business solution idea, because we modify, right? Okay, these backlogs are basically modified requirement or prioritized requirements. There should be somebody who oversee these prioritizations with the Scrum Master. So we have these advisors. There can be a business analyst in this team as well, because
this is kind of a testing. They're like a production team is doing the production. Once the production is done, now these people sitting here, they will be analyzing and they will be monitoring if the product, whatever product came, it came in the perfect condition, or it should go back again for the production. Am I correct?
Right, that's right. Even BA act as a tester, as I told you, right? We do user testing. So we think from a chair of a user, whatever he explained or whatever he envisioned, are we walking in the right path, or we are deviating from it? So those kind of things. So BA could be here as well.
Yes.
I'll have Richa explain you in depth, because she will give you exact idea when they could peep in, because everything is really clearly disciplined here.
Yes.
So I really couldn't put a label to these guys. I think Richa is the right person to put those label there.
Yes, but I believe Lena and someone else wants to know it from the starting, from the program manager and the business analyst, how the cycle works.
Okay,
let's say define everything. Yeah. So start from their business program owner.
Sure. Like we normally take our sample, right? I'll come to our example. The way we say, there's a sales manager coming to my desk saying, "Hey, business analyst, let's go and meet this VP HR at State Farm." Okay. So sales manager with a business analyst goes to a State Farm's office and meet this person called VP HR, who says, "Hey, sales manager, I'm thinking of making my attendance management system better, on enhancing my attendance management system, because we have these challenges, a number of challenges. Public आता है, किसी के नाम का साइन करके चले जाता है, सुपरवाइजर सोआ रहता है, वो आइडेंटिटी चेक नहीं करता है, ये होता है. It's a part of overall, practical life cycle. So he says we need to have a biometric, we need to have iris scanners, we need to have body scanner, and all those band party, what he thought as his wish list. Now this guy, what we're talking about, the visionary, or the guy who can sponsor this project, who can implement his business idea or business requirement, is a product owner, who have envisioned, who have vision, who have thought of this idea. So he know, as a basic person, basic individual, how things should be, right? Because he's going to pay for it, he's envisioned it, and he know from the start what I need. So that's the product owner. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Great. Now let's move. Now these are the guys sitting here. There are 9 guys they've shown, right? Business team, users, business processes, customers, stakeholder, architect team. Okay. Let's forget about a couple of words here. But these are the guys who are understanding the vision from a single man, or let's say a couple of guys, and building it to a document called requirement specification, or listing the requirement, right? SRS is kind of list of requirement. We depict in use case, Excel sheet, and the HLDs and all those band parties or the tools available to a BA, right? So these are the guys who make the SRS, who creates or translate that vision into the requirements. Does that make sense? Does that
Yes.
Understandable?
Yes.
Okay, so this is where the BAs of the world reside. That's what we do on day in, day out. We take the vision, missions from the product owner. We build these requirement documents, use case diagrams, Excel sheet to support their claims, and build the high level diagrams and give it to the product owner for his approval. Now, these can be user story, epics. Let's not go by the labels. Let's try to understand the documents and the tools which we used. Called BRDs come from a product owner, which can be a single, wish list coming by email, coming by WhatsApp, or shared with us in the meeting. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, because these guys are really senior, really, what you can say, they do lots of things day in, day out, and they sponsor things. So they are in a autocratic way share the BRDs with you, and then in a diplomatic way as an BA, as a requirement analyst, as a business analyst, I analyze those requirements and build these documents called system requirement specification, build these use case diagrams or the user stories and epics to clarify any doubts, any confusions, or any contradictions which others may have, and build these documents for the product owner's approval. So once he put his thumb, when he signs these things, when he approves these things, we have something called requirement documents or sprint execution plan. Don't go by word backlog at this moment, because whenever we start the process, there's no backlog. But whenever we come in an iteration, there'll be backlog, right? We say we're going to develop or we're going to construct 10 things, right? We're going to procure iris scanners. We're going to procure 3 Sony, 5 Philips iris scanners and try and test it. This is my first iteration. So I go to the shop, get those things and put it, bring it in my office, wherever I work. So in my cabin with the development team, I'm trying to test whatever I have ordered, right? That's what we do. Even if you order a dress from Amazon, I'll try to put it first so that if it fits me, okay, do I need to stitch it again? Or if I, order a mobile phone, I'll first try it, right? I'll directly not use it. So I'll first test it. This is basically quality and quality assurance, quality control and quality assurance kicks in. So whatever I ordered, I first check it. Is it feasible? Is it fitting to my need? So that's my first sprint of checking whatever I have ordered, whatever I have envisioned. And that's what we call proof of concept also sometimes. So we build a small thing. We build a small, we have one, before, preparing so many pakoras, we fry just one pakoda and test it. This is what we call proof of concept. So बहुत ज़्यादा तीखा नहीं है, बहुत ज़्यादा salt नहीं है, and all those testing things. So that's my first iteration, right? That's my first execution, construction, requirement gathering, and analysis phase. And whenever I'm through with that, I'll basically put the requirements in the backlog. So I'm building this backlog. I'm building the next iteration things to be built. And that's what my iteration is all about. So my Scrum Master knows this is my vision mission. That's my SRS. Now, part of SRS, if you have 60 requirements, I'll make 3 in this iteration. So I have a team of 10. Within first iteration, I'll try to make first 3 things. And the rest of the, how many rest, 90 minus 3 are kind of backlog, right? And what is sprint backlog? I have tried to do 3 things, but I could do 2.5. So my half thing is basically backlog from the last, last sprint. And the complete product backlog is the total requirement, means 90 minus 3 is my product backlog. Could you understand this?
Yes.
This can be a bit confusing because the way actual things have been labeled are more disciplined and the correct way. That's what, Richa will explain, but just try to understand what these, boxes and, the figures means. That's how I'm trying to explain it to you. Okay. And each and every iteration is called sprint, right? Okay. And then there are these burnout charts, means how effectively we are using resources to create things, to develop things. And that's what they call it, burnout charge. Then there are certain advisors, there are certain reviewers, there are certain testers, there are certain other guys who help basically to build or construct this product. Does that make sense? Could you understand this diagram now?
Yes.
Any confusion?
No.
No, I'm good.
I'm good.
Okay, great. Anybody have any confusion? Do you want me to explain again? I'll take it as a no. And let's not go to RUP. I know RUP is one of the most matured, and I've worked on RUP for quite long. So it's kind of my favorite. Agile Scrum, yes, it's really good. I am a kind of XP guy at a heart. So Scrum is too disciplined for me. But yes, it's the most matured and evolved framework. So I respect it's the one of the best available as of today, right? So let's not contradict with this. Every framework have their pros and cons. But yes, Waterfall is quite older, so we not use it now. So we normally use Agile Scrum as a normal, execution methodology, and Agile Pair. Agile XP is all the others, guys which use. But normally Agile Scrum is more the industry standard as of now, kind of best practices, right? Let's move on. Now, what was this slide? How this SDLC made my life, right? How it improved me. So I have now a complete these steps clearly defined. They are working parallelly. They are no distinct. So an analyst can't say, "Ki boss, don't give me requirement today. I'm on fast," or I'm on leave. ऐसा नहीं होता है. So nowadays, even if you can understand how can't, let's discuss it out. Now the requirements comes on WhatsApp, the requirement comes on Facebook, the requirement can come on Twitter as well, and we are getting adapt to them as an BA, right? So whatever came to me, I build this into a list of SRS. I include those things in the SRS. I release the SRS document. Now we talked about those, live documents and the release document. So live documents are the documents who are getting updated day in, day out, and release documents are the documents who are released at a particular day, and the next release they'll get updated, right? So SRS is a release document. Okay, FRS is a live document. BRD is a release document. So whenever a client send me set of requirements, I accept it with the version or the release with the date and time. So when a product owner sends me a request saying I need a pink color, so I'll mention it. Pink color request came from so and so, product owner at 9 p.m. on 27th November, and this came through email, through Twitter, through Facebook, or whatever it may be. So I mention this thing in my document. I create this requirement. I collect this requirement. I adapt to the requirement. I include those requirements and basically take it to the next phase. Next phase is design or proof of concept if it's the initial, or normally it goes to design and architecting phase. Then it will eventually go to the development and construction phase, where the testing starts in parallel. So architecting and testing goes in parallel when in the development and construction. So these works in an iterative way. I keep evolving, I keep building, I keep doing it iterative way. Even the deployment happens iteratively, the support and warranty also happens iteratively, because the way the flexibility works, the warranty is limited in time period. So whatever product have released, the warranty carries for a year or as per the contract or with the client, and then the next chip of warranty falls in. So you're supporting, and the warranting is a almost iterative phase nowadays. That's also we need to understand, right? Because you never say the product development ends. Product, we keep developing, the engagement continues, we keep evolving, we keep building, more and more better product, more and more better project, or more and more better services. That's how the evolution happens. Could you understand the evolution part of this thing?
Yes.
Great. It's a kind of, overall improvement we do. That's what we call evolution, and that's the way IT person like to label it, really glorified way, and that's how we have to learn this terminology. Okay, now again, why quality assurance? I had a kind of revision here, so let's revise again. So as we say, prevention is better than rebuilding or recreation, because then that's a heavy cost attached with the recreation of the things. Then quality is the least costly at start. Do you agree?
Yes, I think so.
Right. So quality is the least costly at start. So the earlier we cache defect, the most economical is, the most profit I make in an organizations, the most effective employee I will be. Be it a business analyst, be it a project manager, be it a CEO, CTO, product owner, or whatever label you want to call. But the earlier defect catching is the most important things in the whole QA QC process, right? And then we sharpen the axis before start cutting the tree. This is the example which normally Devshi takes, because yes, you need to sharpen your axis, because whenever I try to cut a big tree, if I don't have axis sharpened proactively, I need to have I can't cut a bigger tree with one axe, right? Because the axe will go bad throughout the thing. So I have to have a couple of axes with me which are basically sharpened before I start cutting, because when I start cutting I can't stop in between, or the tree will fall on me, and there are other effective measures which I need to keep in place. So the best cost effective thing is keep all axes ready, sharpen before you start cutting. That's how the overall evolution works for a BA as well. So we need to learn these environmental things which are help me as an BA whenever I go to on shop floor. And that's why we have this QA and Scrum, because that's what we're going to use on the shop floor. We're going to use day in, day out. So I need to understand these things, even if I don't really play a very crucial or important part, but I'm in an advisory capacity. And still, I need to make sure whatever I do, I need to do it best. And I had to use all the templatization. I had to use all the evolved methodology to help me to work effectively and efficiently. That's how I look at it, right? And then building prevention is quick, easy, and cost effective. Build checks before start, during start, or during start. These checklists, these test cases, which are related correspondingly to each and every requirement, has to be reviewed and approved by BA in many organizations. So these test cases we talked about, these checks we talked about, those are the important part which make sure the product is in aligned with the requirement which captured by BA. So those approvals are kind of extension to the duties of BAs, right? And then vision and requirement must be clear and crisp and concise. So there should be least vagueness in your requirement, least contradictions within the requirements, and so on and so forth. You'll learn this thing when you start working, or we'll basically try to explain this thing when we do workshop at the end of this seminar as well, in depth. So we're going to understand who will do what. We'll try to do a role play, so that whenever you are Scrum Master, how will you play? Whenever you are a BA, how will you pay? How will you react? Whenever you are a product owner, or whenever you are a kind of so we try to play different roles within our next workshop, the big workshop, whenever we do at the end of this training, right? And there we'll understand how requirement can be conflicted as well, right? And then why the documentation help. We have the templates, we have the clear, crisp guidelines on how to make, what to write, and what to build. We have to just fill in the blanks most of the times, or draw the diagrams, or do a cut, copy, paste. But still, it's a really crucial thing. We must understand what we are doing in depth, so that we can do it really effectively. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Any confusion at this moment?
No.
Okay, let's go ahead. Okay, now quality assurance QA process. We've seen early feedbacks does help me, audits and checklists. We are talking about the overall checks and balances have been built with the QA and QC processes, right? So let's try to understand in a quick, and we will revise these things like this slide and this slide tomorrow as well, or in the next class, so that we can understand in depth, right? So let's try to understand QA
now
and
it's starting going up of the head.
I know, I can understand. That's why I'm saying we're going to revisit this slide next time also. So it will be a good recap. So please don't worry. I can understand. I can feel that, because the voice level is going really low.
It looks like you and me only talks here a lot.
No, that's why I'm saying. I don't know why.
Actually, now I need the ginger tea, like you always say.
I asked my husband to give me a cup of coffee, but he's saying, no, go and make it yourself.
Oh, he's in trouble.
He's in trouble. That's it.
No problem. No
Yeah.
problem. Anyone is coffee person here? Rudra, do you drink tea or coffee?
I'm a coffee person too.
Oh, yeah,
I
coffee
am a
person.
tea
How about you,
person.
Rudra?
Both.
You drink tea or you drink coffee?
Both coffee and tea.
Okay, what do you have in morning?
Tea.
Tea, okay. So yeah, okay, that's it. Have you made tea by yourself? Or do you make tea by yourself?
Yeah. First water, then tea.
No. I'm not
then
asking
ginger
process.
tea.
I'm just asking questions. Do you make your tea or mom makes for you?
She used to, and then I started doing that by myself.
Okay, that's great. Is it an improvement from after the class or before that?
No, before that.
You are in which part of USA?
Huh?
You are in which part of America?
VA, Virginia.
Oh, you are in Virginia. Nice.
Thank you.
Virginia is also cold, right?
Not as cold, but yeah, it gets cold.
Not as cold as New Jersey.
Virginia
New Jersey.
beaches are very famous.
Right. No problems. Okay, great. So yeah, so we will, and please be participative. Keep speaking so that we understand and we learn together, and that's how I feel it. And this is really good way that Zoom works really effectively, and we can speak at the same time as well. So please be active and ask all the questions. Don't feel ever like why should I ask? I feel this is really silly. There's nothing silly. The learning is the most important part we do. We discuss, we learn. Even I learned quite a good things from you, and we evolve, right? That's all the best part of it. So be positive, and whenever you feel it's really going heavy, tell me, and I'll try to stop there, right? So let's stop here, I believe, and we'll revisit this side again. We'll even revisit the SDLC. We are going okay. So let me worry about the space and the overall timeline and the schedule crunching. But yes, we'll revisit these things again so that you'll have a good recap. Okay, and those things as well. So any questions for me at this moment?
No, we're good.
No. Do you want us to present our
Arey man,
project?
oh sorry, I forgot that thing. Or could we go to the next class? What do you feel?
I don't mind. Whichever works for you.
Yeah, let's do one thing. Let's do this presentation early, early in the class so that we can, because it's like just the 10 minutes, and I don't really want to stretch your night, because the presentation takes at least 20 minutes per resource. That's what our learning from last thing, and I want to do justice to whatever you created, as in put in your efforts and try to understand your vision. How do you convert it to the documentation and all? So I don't want to do it quick. I want to do it really in depth so that you also know where we are doing our best, where we are cutting shots, or those kind of scenario. So please be with me. Let's stop here today. Means I can understand that, and that way we can have you can go through the recordings whenever it comes, and you can go through the earlier recordings also. So it will be good to revise those things as well. And if possible, please do join me on the introductory session. We'll have the link here. It's your weekend, so I don't want to trouble you much, but let's be a listener, and you can ask questions if you have to. No problem. It's free, and it'll be kind of good learning to understand how the SDLC works, how the overall evolution of a technology working for us, as in normal persons. So okay, so let's meet again day after tomorrow, right? Today is Friday, right? So let's meet on Sunday morning, and from Sunday we're going to learn daily. Sunday, Monday, we normally
or Sunday evening.
Sunday evening.
For you it's morning, and
Sunday
for us
evening.
it's the evening.
Yeah, Sunday evening, right? Sunday evening, Monday evening, and then we're going to learn
Yes.
continuously. So that's kind of another change for us. So we'll do it together. Don't worry on that part. And whenever you feel heavy, do let me know. We can stop there, and we can learn together. And your presentation is really important, because that's the way we share things, that's the way we present, and that's the way we learn. Okay, sure. So if anybody have any questions, please shoot, or we'll close this session today.
I have a question.
You have questions? Please go ahead.
You said Python. What else? That was
Okay.
tomorrow.
Yes. Okay. Python is a platform. Then we're going to learn about machine learnings. That's a kind of artificial intelligence technology which we're going to train. And there's something called data science. Data science is a kind of next evolution to the business analyst. Business analyst normally works with the business to analyze the requirement. Data scientists analyze the data statistically and present the findings to the world. So you're into more of a scientist way than an analyst. You do analyze, but you have more tools at your disposal. You work on a bigger data sets, bigger, number of data is increased to exponential level and so on and so forth. So that's also kind of learning. And if you can be there, I'll be really glad. And that's my, humble request to you to be there. So we can learn together and we can discuss it out. You can ask questions definitely. Please, be participative. That's what I'll say right now.
Python
Okay.
and machine learning both are very hot in the market right now.
Exactly. That's why we are starting that topic. There are quite a few requests on that.
Yeah, especially the financial firms, whether
Exactly.
it's with any skills, they want Python, or like side by side for machine learning also, it's a very good scope.
Right. So if you can spell these two, they'll give you at least start job.
Yes.
And as a BA, if you know these things, it'll help you in long term. And that's an introductory session. So I'm going to explain what all things we're going to teach, and how we're going to understand and make solution out of these things as well. So
I would love to join, but I have work tomorrow. Like I have office tomorrow. I was working today also.
Oh, but it's a long weekend, right? It's a long weekend.
As I told you, it's a brand new project. We got it, and it's a government project, and it's still an implementation process.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Chalo, best luck to you, and happy working.
Thank you.
Could I get the details for the meeting though tomorrow?
Yeah, you'll get the link in the group itself.
Okay.
It's around 11 o'clock, I believe. 10:30, 11 o'clock.
Okay.
So
also,
keep...
one more question. Sorry. I was going to ask if we could, when we do get into like the process and actually become BAs and stuff, can we choose our preference, like who to work with, and like maybe toward AI or, so something like that?
No, Rudra. I believe as an BA, we are trying to learn how BA works right now, right? If you want to go to the next level, see, understanding Python, understanding machine learning, or understanding data scientist, bit takes an effort, because data scientists are the scientists, right? So there are quite a complicated tools they use. We need to understand those things. Python is a platform where we develop such tools or such solutions to be used by data scientists. So that's a kind of another level we are talking about. And yes, of course, you can choose the organizations where you're going to join. And these are a kind of next level technologies, evolutionary technology, which have been working or getting modified day by day. So those kind of latest technology we are going to discuss. So it's a kind of next step, I'll say. And yes, there's a learning involved than working. Right now, we are at a level we are learning to work as a BA, business analyst. So we know how, which template to use, how the processes are, what are the SDLC phase cycle we normally attach to. Data scientist is like a kind of scientist level or R&D community where they suggest business what vision they can implement these solutions to. So it's a kind of level altogether, a different level altogether. Do I make myself, I don't know.
Got it.
Could you understand what I've just thrown to you? Sorry.
Yeah, I understood.
Okay. So, this introduction session will give you a clear idea what I'm talking about. If at all I have confused you in any way, pardon me for that.
No, that's perfect.
Okay. Chalo. Thanks a lot, guys. Good night. Have, enjoy your holidays, as you can. And let's meet tomorrow or day after tomorrow for the next session. Okay. Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Bye. Good night. Take care.
Good night.